back to Chat with M and J. We are here with a promise video that we promised all of you guys a long time ago about all the tests and kind of talking through each of those tests. So I have a list on my phone of all the tests that he's done, and he's going to kind of talk through each of those. And basically we're just going to video test and what they are, right? So these were all to help Jared to discover the pineal cyst, and then after that, like kind of to rule everything else out, right, Jared? That's kind of like what those tests were for.
Yeah, pretty much. We were going through a lot of tests to try to figure out if the pineal cyst was the cause of the problem, because we found it, like we told you guys in the video of the first MRI. So basically, I went through all these tests to figure out if I really needed to get taken out, and that was really causing the problems. So yeah.
Yeah. So like the first one, MRIs, like he had so many of those, and I think everybody kind of knows what an MRI is. But why don't you kind of tell them what made it different this time around, just due to the fact that you had a cyst in there?
Well, not only was it the sheer amount of MRIs that I had to have,
it was
but
9.
It was also just the I had to use dye. So a lot of MRIs, you go on an MRI machine, and I don't know if you guys know this, but they put you on a bed basically. Actually, before we should talk about before. Basically, you get out of your clothes, change into a gown, and then you go and pants. They give you pants, luckily. Maybe not at your hospital, but that mine they did. They give you pants, and then you go on the machine, on the bed, and they slide you into the machine. And basically, it's a round, circular, cylinder-looking thing. Easiest way to describe it would be like a paper towel roll. If you look at it, you slide right in the inside of there, like a little piece of plastic.
Yeah.
That's basically what you do. And then the machine obviously starts, and basically it's magnetic, and it starts to map your whole body. So basically for mine, they were just doing my head. At first they did my orbits, and eventually they just did the brain. So, yeah.
And I think that's a good thing to note, guys, is why they make you change out of your clothes is because metal can cause you to break a really, really, really expensive machine. And so they don't just do it because it's inconvenient to you or that they're just weird and perverted people. It's basically just to make sure that there's no metal on you to ruin the machine and to ruin the images that they're taking of your.
And not only that, but actually I was talking to a couple of the technicians that were there, and they also said that a lot of clothing manufacturers are actually putting, I think, what was it, copper inside the clothing? And it wouldn't harm the machine, but it would harm you. It'd give you like burns around your body. So they said it's just safer not to have to deal with that. They have clothes that are especially meant not to do that. So yeah.
Yeah, and then you kind of, after, in the MRI, you said it was just, like, can you explain what that's like the sound, and what they did because you had a cyst?
Yeah, so basically, I don't know if it's for every single surgery, but I know for mine, eventually when they just knew there was a cyst in there, they would start to do contrast. And basically what the contrast was is they'd give you an IV into your arm, and then they'd do one whole scan without anything inside your blood. So they basically take this blue stuff and put it in the IV and it go into your blood. They would do one without that, and then they did one with it, because the contrast is what allowed them to see the cyst. So.
Right. And then it was just like, he would just always say it was so loud, right? And having a migraine with the pineal cyst and everything else was just that much more intense. How long were those MRIs typically?
Those MRIs, I think they were like 45 minutes long. So a little less than an hour. Sometimes they went for an hour, just all depended on how fast they were at the time and what kind of machine you're using too. There's a specific type of machine, I forgot the name of it, but there was a specific machine that I had to go with, and maybe that one took longer, I'm not sure, never went to the other one. Yeah, so yeah, that was basically.
Yeah. So the next kind of one that we wanted to talk about is an EMG. What is an EMG? And why did they do that to you?
So an EMG, I want to say this is the one, the EMG is the one on your brain, I want to say. So basically they take stickers and basically put them all over your head on different areas of your brain. And what it is to do is measuring the brain waves and measuring what's going on inside your brain to see how it responds to certain things. So basically you keep your eyes closed in a dark room, or keep them open. They'll give you directions on what to do, and then they'll start to map it all over a computer. And basically it's to see if you have any other problems inside your brain. It's not meant to really rule out the pineal cyst that is causing the problem. It's meant to see if there's anything else going on inside your brain. So
So do they ask you questions during the test to see like how your brain's triggering? Do they like touch you to see how like if your brain's firing anything? Like how would they know that it's firing normally?
I don't remember any touching. I remember like she would activate certain parts on the like the little tabs. I don't remember any touching particularly. I remember closing my eyes, like she said, close your eyes and then open your eyes, and then you had to keep your orbits completely still, which your orbits are your eyeballs, and the area around your eyes too. So they keep completely still. So I don't remember any touching on that one.
So no pain.
No, that one's completely unpainful. It definitely is going to mess up your hair, so you'll look a little interesting after you get out of there.
Because they wrap the little tabs onto your head pretty tight, right?
Oh, they don't actually wrap them. They're actually like stickers, so they take a little bit of gluey junk, I forgot what it's called, but basically they put it onto that little pad, and then they'll stick it on your head, and it sticks on there just enough to where it's not going to rip out your hair, but also will just stay on there, so you can't move around.
Just give me a bad hair day.
Yes.
Okay.
Make your head sticky.
The next one is EEG, or EEG, yeah, that's right.
So the EEG was a different one entirely. I was making sure I get it right because there's EMG and then there's EEG. They're kind of confusing and it's hard to get the names right. But the EEG is actually one that tests your muscles. So I was having a problem with my balance and walking. So they wanted to see if there's anything going wrong with my legs. So they would take these needles and basically put them in one part of your leg, like let's say on the calf.
So they can't see it down here, so you might want to show them like on your arm.
Oh, so basically they take it and put it in one part of your muscle, and they're basically trying to stimulate the nerves inside your body to react. And so they have a shocker too. They put a needle, and then they take the shocking device, and then they shock you on that certain area. And it would basically feel like, you know when you hit your funny bone, like on your arm, people call it the funny bone? When you hit that and you get that instant jolt like that, that's basically what it is. On certain parts, it hurts more than others, so it just all depends on where they're electrocuting you at. So
when
it's not anything massive though.
Tell them about, like you kind of said that they were like digging around. Like
Yes. So basically she was really good at it, but how they do it is they put the needle in and then they move it to try to find where they want. Because on their computer, they can see a little signal coming back from the nerve. So basically, they're moving it around until they get what they want, and then they'll shock you. So what it does is you can imagine if you took a needle, even in your face or even in your arm, and moved it around, there's stuff in there that would start to get messed up. So it starts to hurt after a while, and afterwards, you're going to have some welts. So.
Well, and I think you have some bruising, if I remember, too. Yeah. From that one.
I got a pretty big bruise on my leg.
So, I have I guess we should finish the last one. Yeah. The lumbar puncture is kind of the last one that is like the big test that you had. Obviously, there's blood tests, which are fun. And I think like with any of those, like Jared had some really good people who did it, so thank you for if you're a nurse out there who does them really well, sticks you once and gets it done. I've actually never had a blood test before. So I don't know what that feels like, but it sounds horrible.
Enjoy it while you can.
Everybody says that's so terrible. Anyway, going to lumbar puncture, that was kind of in the beginning, if I remember correctly. They were kind of like testing, they thought that he had cancer,
yes,
I think. And so they were checking to see if there was cancer cells in his bloodstream, which was kind of scary for everybody. I think it was scary for you, scary for all of us.
Yeah.
P.S. Lumbar punctures aren't fun. I don't think anybody could classify them as fun. So why don't you tell them your experience of the lumbar puncture?
Yeah, so at first they didn't think it was cancerous when they saw the tumor, but they were thinking it might be cancerous, so they just wanted to rule it all out, and they were uncertain about it. So basically I ended up going into the hospital. You change into a gown again. You do not get to keep your... Actually, no, you do get to keep your clothes on. I kept my shorts on at least. My shorts pants.
We don't need to get into too much detail.
So I'm just saying, you don't need to take a lot of stuff off. But basically, you go inside there, and they're gonna. It's in your lower back usually, near. I want to say it.
Your lower back.
Your
right
lower back.
before your hips.
Yeah, right before your pants line. So they're gonna go right there, and they're basically shove a needle in. At first, they just put a needle in, and they have all these MRI machines, not MRIs, CTs. Scanning machines, X-ray machines, there you go. That's the right term. X-rays. And basically they watch it as they're going through. They have this giant monitor. And luckily they showed me all this, so I can actually tell you guys. But they have this giant monitor, and the doctor basically looks and he puts the needle in, and he's watching it as it goes into your back. and then he's looking to make sure he doesn't hit anything that's important, and then going right in between your vertebrae. So the whole goal of it is not to damage anything, obviously, but also the goal is for the first needle to numb it. So basically all he's doing is not actually going in your vertebrae in the first needle, he's just numbing the area around it, and he's wanting to make sure he avoids anything that could cause damage.
Yeah.
Then he takes the second needle, and once your body's all numb, they let you wait there for a couple minutes, and then they'll take the second needle, and it's giant on the machine, and he'll slowly lower that into your spine. And after it's in your spine, I should know there's 3 needles. Yeah, never mind, sorry. So there's one that he goes in your spine, and he makes sure you can get the fluid out. So he'll just drain a little bit of the fluid, because they don't want the first group of fluid, they want the last group of fluid. So they'll take a little bit out, and then if you ask them, they'll actually show you that if you want. And then they'll take the third needle, and that's the giant one on the machine, and they'll put it into your back and then drain enough fluid that they need for the test. So.
And that, how many, like, so when you say large needle, I faint with needles that, like, how big? Like a foot?
I actually have a picture. I don't know.
We're not going to insert it.
We're not going to insert the picture, but it's pretty big. So I would say it's a pretty long needle. I would say the little tube that I was putting liquid in was around that size.
2.5 feet?
Yeah, it's pretty big. So.
And then how many vials of fluid do they take out?
I think they took around 3.
Like just vials, right?
Yeah, I think they were like, I think it's a long tube, and then they measure it based upon the tube. I don't think they want to keep releasing and unreleasing all the time, so yeah.
And then that one, I feel like, I mean, the EEG was painful and left lots of bruises. I feel like for everybody out there who might get a lumbar puncture, you had more of a recovery from the lumbar puncture than you did about the EEG, in my opinion, and that was because you got like a spinal headache?
A spinal headache, yes. So if you do the surgery, you're actually going to get one of those too, so just a fair warning. Because the spinal headache is when you have less spinal fluid in your body than your bodies generally have. Our bodies generate enough spinal fluid to keep our brain afloat inside our head. It basically protects your brain from the walls outside your skull. It's like kind of a padding, an extra case of fluid. And in your spine you have that as well. So the same fluid that you're draining out of your spine is also the same fluid inside your brain. So when they drain that fluid, it also drains the fluid inside your brain. So your brain is going to feel less fluid. It's basically going to feel like it kind of dropped. The thing is for a spinal, when they do a spinal tap, you'll be fine as long as your scar, basically your wound, as long as everything heals right, it should be fine. You shouldn't get a spinal headache. But if it doesn't heal right, you're going to get this massive headache, and let me tell you, it's probably the worst headache I've ever felt. And I've had a lot of them. So it's painful. It's basically enough pain to take you down. You think you could fight through it, but it's enough to take you down. And your head basically feels like it hit rock zero, and you can feel it almost. It's probably not actually hitting rock zero inside your skull, but it feels like it pretty much just goes like that. And it's a ton of pain, excruciating pain up in your head, and you just want to lay down and you don't want to move. Laying down usually gives relief. I found out what medicine was good for that. I don't know. I don't think there was anything that was that good for it. Yeah, you just take some pain meds. Don't go overboard on the pain meds, but it does go away eventually, and then you get back to functioning. I will say the one after the surgery, I had a little bit of a spinal headache too. And I couldn't get up, like right after surgery. I was going to get up to go to the bathroom. Actually, not right after, a little bit after. I was going to get up to go to the bathroom, and I had a massive headache, and I felt just like a spinal headache. I would say after surgery, fight through it, try to get to go to the bathroom, try to go do stuff. Not everything, but try to at least get up every once in a while, walk around a little bit. Obviously, take your time. Like the one of the nurses said, everyone's different, so don't feel bad about not getting up. I will say they give you a shot in the gut if you don't, just to keep your blood moving. They don't want your blood to clot. But yeah, just push yourself, but don't push yourself too hard, I would say.
Yeah, and I would say too, with him, and I would go back to the spinal tap, if it doesn't heal right, they have to do a blood patch. So they put like blood to kind of cover over the spot to allow your, like that part of your spine that got like punctured to heal. So definitely is not fun. He had a spinal headache for a while. We were really grateful that it didn't have to go to a blood patch, but that was like being talked about. So nothing to fear about that. It is more painful.
I will say the blood patch, I've heard the nurses talk about it and they said it's really painful. So, I mean, they think the spinal headache's bad. I guess the blood patch is even worse. So I'd say be very careful about, and you can't move for a long time, and I think I moved a little bit and I might have messed it up a bit. That's was one of the problems. I would just stay still, let it get its hours. I think it's like
just a couple
hours, and then just let it heal completely. Just don't move. So
so that's what we wanted to share with you guys. We know that there were some people who have questions. If you guys have questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Willie can talk about other tests. These are the ones that Jared experienced. There might be, if you're going through a similar situation, they might be running all different kinds of tests. We'd love to hear about them. Share with our community here of people who want to know more about those tests. But we just kind of wanted to walk through a lot of the times when we were starting this journey. None of us knew what an EEG was. None of us know what an EMG was. All of it was brand new, and we realized that some of you may be going through the same thing and just curious before you guys go have these tests. And so we hope that you find this video helpful. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.